Hi. We're going to touch three important topics right here. One, we're going to talk about sustainability. The other one, we're going to define it. Actually, we're also going to define carrying capacity. And the third one, ecological footprint. Let's begin with sustainability. Sustainability comes from 1987 report done by the Brundtland's definition. This was the report created by the World Commission of Environment and Development in Germany, 1987. And the term from since has been shifting. I mean, everybody uses it, applies the definition at its own convenience, but I'm quoting the words from this meaning that says, quoting, meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Close quotes. Well, this definition is very wide enough for every country to, add its own interpretation to it. But basically, the other part that this sustainability, what it actually means, is putting the environment and putting the potential of human life and the structures and the climate systems and the agricultural systems and the industry and the forestry and the fishery and the human society in general, putting it all into several systems that interact one with the other and that depend one on the other. So there's an interdependence that helps to this, that we should hold to coexist and not let it disintegrate. And all of this is just a little bit complex. And the other thing is that the economy, here's the chart that they made, the economy, the society and the environment intertwine one with the other. So a society to be sustainable means that it should produce, in these three factors, economy, society and environment, they should all interact in a balancing act to keep the whole system running for a long time to go. If it breaks the system, well, we're not sustainable. That means the whole world is not sustainable. Every country individually in all together does not work. So it should be set and work together. Now in Copenhagen, this was the major thing. Countries have not been able to put themselves, they have not been able to put the act together on balancing this sustainability project. Now this leads us to another important term, and that is that we should create sustainable cities, for example. This smart growth policy in which cities are trying to instead of expanding and growing indefinitely, what we're trying to do is bring back people to downtown in a cycle that allows people to actually come and go. And that's kind of one of the smart things of that's one of the policies of smart growth. We have a city over here. We have a city, any point, and cities keep on growing. So we need to limit the sizes of the city. And sometimes we'll find Europeans have said, progress does not mean a city should grow and grow indefinitely. Progress sometimes means let's stop the size of the city, fill the spaces and the gaps that are inside, and densify downtown again, re-densify downtown again. And even put a metro system that ties together the whole thing. Does it sound familiar? Yeah. So we're on the right path of making the city sustainable through the smart growth policy. Okay, but this takes us to the second term, the carrying capacity. The carrying capacity refers to the number of individuals who can be supported in a given area with the natural resource, with the limits, and without degrading the natural social, economic, and cultural environment for now and the future generations. Think of this. Japanese thought about this for centuries ago, and they hold themselves responsible for the 7 generations on the past and the 7 to come. That's every act is thought in such way that you think of the past and of the future. Now, in terms of the carrying capacity, we don't want we want our actions in terms of construction, that each act that we produce, and I know sounds too theoretical, but each act that we produce should conform to not shrink or leave the environment not able to support the number of members that are in it. We should be able to have, let's say, a piece of land with a given amount of population, and it should be self-sustainable. It should be, our actions should be able to support one to the other and keep this running smoothly for centuries. Now, this has not always happened in history. Look at the Romans. What they did with the North Africa desert. They harvested until they finished. They ended its carrying capacity. Look at the Mughals. They rode with 180,000 persons, horse riding. Everybody had 2 horses. In case of a drought, they would just eat the other horse. That's where the tartar steaks come from, by the way. And they just came in and like ants, over eating everything, causing an ecological tragedy. And when they arrived to what today is Iraq, it used to be a huge civilization. They just ate it completely, the gardens and everything, and it could, they couldn't flourish again after that. So the carrying capacity is something that you want to be checking on it, very important. And the last one, and this is important because our buildings, the carrying capacity, and the artifacts may not harm the environment, but it may, especially if we're again producing so much emissions. And not only that, if our footprint, the building's footprint, is way too strong on the land. Now this takes us to the last point, ecological footprint. This is and I'm quoting, all the resources which people can use for their daily needs and activities comes from somewhere, even if not from their immediately surroundings. Food, electricity, and other basic amenities for survival must be produced within the confines of nature using raw natural resources. Based on this relationship between humanity and the biosphere, and ecological footprint is a measurement of the land area required to sustain a population of a given size. Under prevailing technology, it measures the amount of arable land and aquatic resources that must be used to continuously sustain the population. Now, what we're saying right here is how sustainable is our footprint? How strong is our footprint? Well, let me tell you, each one of us needs about 6 or 7 Earths and a half to sustain our lifestyle. We impose too much on the environment. We throw away, we recycle, we don't even recycle, we just use and throw away. That happens also with buildings. We use them, 25 years lifespan, and then boom, out. What happens? A new one. This has got to end. This cannot be, that is not a sustainable, that's a very hard ecological footprint on the environment, and we have to change our ways if we want to actually create a project in a more, let's say, assimilate a better way of living. Builders of the future have to learn other ways in changing our heavy footprint. By the way, go and check on your ecological footprint and email me as a PDF file for that. We'll keep on the next one. I'll keep you posted for the next one on our third part, which deals with what can we do right here in America to improve as a construction industry our ways to manage sustainability, carrying capacity, and ecological footprints.